Hello, everybody. So I wanted to briefly comment on StoneCo's newfound way to spend cash, which is they announced a buyback a few days ago. I don't know if you've missed it. But of course, StoneCo is a large position for me. I very much love this stock, and it's one of the few stocks that I find undervalued and that value investors would also find very undervalued, right? The stock is famously owned by both Cathie and Warren Buffett, which is kind of crazy. You may remember from a few weeks ago, I showed this valuation spreadsheet. Yes, so this is a company, actually the growth I've updated to 45%. They're expected to grow revenue over the next 12 months by 45%. And if you look at the EBITDA yield, right, I use EBITDA as a proxy for cash flow. If you look at the current EBITDA yield, it's 29%, and it's expected to grow to 48% EBITDA yield next year. So, kind of like, are you kidding me? This is a 50% cash return next year compared to the current stock price of this company. It's unbelievable how cheap this company is. That's why I kind of joke and call it a cash piling machine and say they're in the business of piling cash. It's even crazier when you look at their ratios. When you look at the ratio of StoneCo, so again, it's a 3.4x EV over EBITDA, which equals to that 29% EBITDA earnings yield. But if you compare this to their closest peer, their American peer, which is Square in the United States, Square, I often say that STNE is the Square of Brazil, right? It is trading at a 21 times EV over EBITDA. So Square is 7 to 8 times more expensive than a StoneCo, even though I believe StoneCo has a more favorable position in Brazil with less competition. They have one main competitor, which is PagSeguro, a little bit of competition from Mercado Libre, but they are the faster growing leader in the payment space for small businesses. These little devices that you see right here, they have almost 3 million of them at small businesses in Brazil, and they will have more. Brazilians love to pay with credit cards. They love rewards. It's a little bit like America. And because of these setups, a lot of customers at these small businesses in the economy want to pay with their phone, pay on the terminal. They also have a popular app. Anyways, point is, this is a lot of good things going on for Brazil. And let's remember one thing. Brazil has dropped their interest rates back in August by 50 basis points. So they started dropping interest rates sooner than the USA. We are still not there in the US. We still have a few people saying the US may raise more. I mean, I don't believe so, but I've been proven wrong many times on this. Who knows how crazy the Fed can get in the USA. But in Brazil, they've started dropping. So this is great. This is great for a business like StoneCo because it's a business that relies on payments, right? They have a take rate over transactions, right? It's a transaction fee. So it's a take rate business, which means that for this type of business, the velocity is what matters. How many times money changes hands. And when interest rates are lower, money changes hands more often. And this is great for StoneCo, who just skims a tiny percentage of the top of each transactions that happen at these small businesses. So it's really great for StoneCo. Again, this stock, I believe this stock is in the cash piling business. If you actually look at this company, they have an adjusted net cash position of 4.3 billion reais. So that is 870 million USD. So that's a lot of money, 870 million USD. So they've announced their buyback, And usually I don't think a buyback is a great thing. Usually I would prefer to see a company like a StoneCo, for example, invest in marketing, invest in its growth. But in the case of StoneCo, it is true that they are growing really, really fast. They keep raising the guidance, and they may grow at 45% revenue next 12 months, right? They're trading at a price to cash of 2.54x. Right, their market cap is only about $3 billion. So In their case, are there circumstances where I think it would be okay for them to do a buyback, the buyback that they've announced? And the answer to that is yes. I believe that in their case, it is okay. And it is okay because they're growing very, very, very fast, right? If the growth stalled, I would want them to spend the money on growth and on marketing. But, 45%, it's tough to nitpick on that. So that's point number one. Point number two, since the growth is there, their stock is highly undervalued. That's what they believe. This buyback tells us that they believe the stock is undervalued, and I believe it's undervalued too. I believe it's undervalued ever since I've owned the stock before I owned the channel, right? I am hoping that this buyback, this small buyback of $58 million, I'm hoping that they will do it again, that they will reiterate the buyback. They could easily buy back $58 million a quarter. Let's keep in mind that this is a company who's expected to have a positive cash flow next quarter in Q3 of a little north of 99 million. So let's call it $100 million in positive cash flow in Q3. And they've just announced a $58 million buyback. So that means that they will still keep piling cash despite that buyback. And what's going to be the benefit for us shareholders of this stock as far as the buyback goes, right? They have 341 million shares outstanding. If you do a $52 million buyback on this, well, it's actually 58. I made a mistake here, but let's round it up. So it would be 5.8 million shares. So let's call it 1.55%. So that would be a 1.55% reduction in the number of shares outstanding for this company in each quarter. So about 6% a year. And if they do a buyback, hopefully they will stop issuing new shares. StoneCo, I've never flagged for issuing a lot of shares. They issue a little bit, but not that many. So I believe over the next 4 quarters, if they keep buying back, say 1.55%, let's call it 2%. I hope they're going to increase that. If they were to buy back 2% per quarter, which they easily could do, this is a stock that could see each share owning more of that company, right? That's what buybacks do. They help you increase your ownership of the company while keeping the same amount of share. Hopefully they do this every quarter. They can definitely buy back much more than that. The price to cash for this company, market cap compared to the cash, is a 2.54. So usually I'm not a fan of buyback, but in the case of this company, they're over main growth avenue, which is small business lending. They want to take it slow because they've had issues in the past, right? That's why the stock is so cheap. And the management likely believes that it's tougher to grow any faster than 45% over the next 12 months. Therefore, they see this tiny buyback, this small buyback, they see this as the opportunity. And I agree with them, even though I rarely agree with buybacks. In that case, I agree because the stock is heavily undervalued. I would hate them to see them do a buyback at a 50 or 60 bucks StoneCo, though, like they did in 2021. If you followed this stock for a while, you may remember that they did a buyback in 2021 when the stock was trading much higher than that. So you can see this is much more favorable right now. So anyways, this was not investment advice. This was just entertainment. I'm happy StoneCo finally found a use for its cash. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate your subscriptions to my channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.